Alright, hello Internet. This is Brandon. Channel currently is named Crypto, Trades, and Tech. We talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies, how to trade them, and the technologies behind them. I should start to add to these videos. I started creating these videos for our Conquer Trading and Investing group. Jordan asked for some brain dumps of those of us who are more into the cryptocurrency space, so doing some brain dumps here. This one is by popular demand. I've had several people ask me, how do I get started buying Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? And when I got a text from my mother, hi mom, I decided, okay, I really need to start make this video here for you guys. This one I'm going to try to keep short, and I'm going to try to keep very, very simple and high level. So for a lot of the normal audience, this is going to be probably way too simple, but I did want to make this video for people who were just getting started in the space. Maybe there's some seasoned investors that just don't understand or know how to buy cryptocurrencies just yet. So what I wanted to start with is a quick overview, first of all, of what you're buying. Like, let's talk about what you're actually buying, what's going on before you start buying anything if you don't understand what Bitcoin is. So we're going to start right there. What is Bitcoin? And what I've done is I pulled up, there's a crypto exchange called Binance. Now Binance is a Chinese company, but they're pretty much the leading exchange for cryptocurrencies. They have the lowest fees anyway. Now there's other companies that are technically bigger as far as what we call on-ramps, but as far as exchange activity and people that do a lot of active trading of cryptocurrencies, I think Binance is probably the leader here. And I've gone to their website and I pulled up the Binance Academy. So if we go back to the main Binance website, I'm going to show you how to get there. And I'll go to these little dots right here, and under, so there's exchange and broker. They do lots of other things too. They do incubation for crypto projects, all kinds of things. But let's go to their academy here. And this is where you can learn and start to learn a lot about cryptocurrencies. Now, we're going to start right here. Hi, Binance Academy. What is a cryptocurrency? All right. So it states here that a cryptocurrency is just like a digital form of cash. You can use it to pay people. And so some of the main things about cryptocurrencies are they're permissionless. Means that in theory no one can stop you from using cryptocurrencies. Centralized payments, on the other hand, can freeze your accounts or prevent transactions from being made. So governments can affect centralized payment systems, whereas in theory they can only make it difficult to use cryptocurrencies, but cryptocurrencies are pervasive on the internet that you have to shut down the whole internet, which would be a much more difficult task than I think a lot of people think. Censorship resistant and a cheap and fast payment method. Now, let's just start with what is Bitcoin, the king of cryptocurrencies here. And what they say here is it's a form of digital cash. Unlike fiat currencies you're used to, there's no central bank controlling it. Now, it was first introduced in 2008 and launched in 2009. And what is it used for? Well, it's used for all kinds of things. Now, I think a lot of people in the first world, especially the United States, don't understand Bitcoin as much because we're very well serviced by our financial industry. However, there's a lot of people in a lot of countries that don't have access to banking like people in the first world do, and they get it quite easily. So it's decentralized, censorship resistant, secure, and borderless. That's what Bitcoin is. Now this word decentralized is very important. It means, again, there's no central authority. So pretty much everybody who uses Bitcoin in theory is supposed to agree to the rules of Bitcoin, and there's a lot of security around that. But it's really community driven, right? So it's built on something called, I'm sure you've heard of, the blockchain. Now the blockchain is nothing more than a series of information recorded in blocks. So for example, if I was to make a small text file, which I'm sure most people understand, like Word documents or text files, right? And I started writing a letter, and I wrote the first paragraph in one text file, and then I saved it, and that's paragraph 1. And then the next text, I make another text file in the same folder, and I call that paragraph 2, and I start writing some more. Well, the idea is that you append the data in the second text file to the data in the first text file. So after 4 or 5 text files, I might have the equivalent of a 4 or 5 paragraph Word document, right? But it's in 5 different text files because I wrote them sequentially. So the blockchain is just a sequential ledger. And like it says here, it's append only. So data can only be added to it. So let's go to the whiteboard. All right, I've got a simple whiteboard pulled up here. So the Genesis block of Bitcoin was the first block ever mined. And when blocks are mined, the miner that takes the job of validating and securing, they secure this with a cryptographic key. The person who has that job of securing and validating this block, they get paid out a little bit of Bitcoin for a reward. Now the Genesis block first paid out to Satoshi Nakamoto 50 BTC. He got paid out. So the first wallet address was created, or whoever mined the first block. So the only transaction here was 50 Bitcoin got debited to this ledger account. So whatever this account was, 50 Bitcoin got debited. Now in the next block, this kept going on for a little bit until there was a good amount of Bitcoin in a couple of different addresses. We'll talk about addresses here in more in a minute. But then, so people had money to spend. So the first, now down the line here a little ways, the first transaction ever happened. So in one of these blocks, one of these data fields, pretend it's a text file. Pretend these are just text files. So the first text file says that Satoshi got 50 Bitcoin, and then Satoshi got, and then maybe somebody else, Hal Finney, or somebody else who was early in the project, who was also mining, he got 50 Bitcoin for doing his job, securing the network, right? So down the way here, the first transaction of Bitcoin ever happened. So Satoshi sends funds to another person, or somebody, right? So say Satoshi sent funds to somebody else. So in the ledger here, in the text file, all we have is a little text file that says that this wallet address, who maps to Satoshi, sent, say 10 Bitcoin, we'll just say 10 Bitcoin, to another wallet address. So that means that if Satoshi had 50 and he spent 10 minus 10, he now has 40, is the result of what's left in his wallet. So these are called those UTXO, unspent transaction output, right? So what is recorded in the block is how much money is left in your wallet address. All right, so what is a wallet? So a wallet address, so if you as a user log on to a computer here, and you go and you log on and you buy yourself some Bitcoin, what happens is that when you purchase those Bitcoins, some Bitcoins get debited from one of the wallets that you purchase from, and that exchange that has those funds, the exchange of some type would have those funds on hand. They would transfer that to a new wallet address that would be your address. Now your wallet address is created by the computer. It's actually a cryptographic signature, and there's something called private key infrastructure, PKI. You can look up and study what private key infrastructure does. But it's a secure key that you have. So you have a private key that you hang on to. In theory, you don't share with anybody. And then you have a public key, which the internet knows about. So your wallet is signed with this key so that everybody can transact with you. Okay? So when you log on to an exchange, your first ever exchange that you're going to buy Bitcoin with, and you deposit US dollars, and the very first time you go and you buy the Bitcoins, as they call it, that exchange is going to create a wallet address for you. It's going to create a cryptographic, so it's going to go ahead and create both keys on that site. It's going to create the public and private key, and so those keys are your wallet. Those secure cryptographic keys are your wallet. So on the Bitcoin ledger, as these little blocks get minted, we move on from this block to this block to this block. So in one of these blocks, there's that transaction. So the exchange you bought from had on their balance, say they had 100 Bitcoin and you bought 1 Bitcoin. So on this block says, all right, the exchange had 99 Bitcoin, So inside this block, we're just going to do like a blown up view of this block. So that one wallet had 99 or 100 Bitcoin, and we're going to subtract 1 from it. And so now he's got 99, and your address, your new signature now is debited 1. So it now has 1. So in the next block, your address is now known to have 1 Bitcoin. Right, and we can buy these things in fractions. You don't have to buy 1 Bitcoin. You can buy 0.000000001 Bitcoin if you want. All right, so now we understand roughly. There's a lot more to read up on this for you guys, but you get a vague idea here, right? It's just a ledger. It's just a record of transactions that's secured cryptographically with these security keys. So now you can elect to leave your funds on the exchange you bought it from. I'm not going to be able to type very well here. And they hold your keys, and if they ever lose the private key, you could lose your funds, right? So if an attacker gains access to your private key, they can do whatever they want with your wallet, right? They now own it. So that's where these hardware wallets come in. These are some pictures of some Trezor hardware wallets. What you can do is you can set up a new wallet where your private key, this little key that you have, is secured offline on one of these things. So what happens is this creates that key pair that you need to transact with the rest of the world. The public key is known by the rest of the world, and the private key, though, is stored on this device, and it's a cold device. So you unplug this device, and you can put it in a closet for 100 years, and the memory on here is going to hold that information. Now, of course, at some point it will obviously go bad, but for a very long time, the information is safe and secure on here. Now, most wallet companies allow you to also restore your keys with what's called a seed phrase, and you'll see more of that when you set those up. That's what these hardware wallets are doing. They're taking that private key that gives you this private key is what you need to sign any transaction. So any of these transactions that we're talking about, for me to transfer 1 Bitcoin to somebody else, I have to sign that transaction with my private key. That's how the system stays secure. And if I don't sign it with my key, that transaction is not valid. So we want to keep our keys safe. So this is a good way to keep your keys safe. I would encourage you at first to sign on with a secure exchange and enable all the security mechanisms until you figure some things out. Get you a hardware wallet down the road and transfer a very small amount of your Bitcoins or your Ether or whatever you want to it. But don't go whole hog on this thing until you figure it out, because frankly, more Bitcoin has been lost by people losing their access to their hardware wallets and thus losing access to their private key than has been lost on exchanges. But now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about on-ramps and off-ramps. Okay, so when you want to first buy cryptocurrencies, you can buy them with the US dollar or anything else. You need what's called an on-ramp. So an on-ramp, all an on-ramp means is it's a place you can go to exchange dollars for Bitcoin. Now think about it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're a digital form of currency. So it's no different than if you went to exchange $1 for a euro, right? You just have to go to the right place that does that exchange. And so the same thing is true here. On-ramps. Coinbase is the biggest and probably the most well-known for on-ramps. They're very simple. You can use credit cards. You can instantly buy with credit cards on here. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Crypto.com is another new one that's popped up. They have a lot more cryptocurrencies available too that you can buy with credit cards and get instantly. I recommend that you use Gemini for your very first purchase, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, you can still buy crypto instantly. You can use the automatic clearinghouse or ACH transfers. I do believe that your very first transfer does actually have to clear, so it is a couple days until you can buy. But start your first transfer, and then further transfers after that, after you have an account balance with them, will be instant. So I recommend that you just set up a Gemini account, connect to your bank and transfer money, however they instruct you to. It connects to your bank. Now Gemini is a highly regulated Right. So they're a highly regulated company. So they put a lot of effort into getting licensed with well-known entities, and they put a lot of effort into making sure that they're compliant with all regulations. So as far as getting shut down, or people have a lot of fears around, oh, is the government going to shut down? If you buy and hold your cryptocurrencies on Gemini, the odds that something drastically bad happens is very, very low because they have such good compliance. The other thing I like about Gemini is they have a very good offline cold storage system. So they use very hardened hardware security modules that they put your private keys on, and they have a really good cold storage, multi-sig cold storage system. So when you create your account, there's a whole once you get your account set up, there's a bunch of security things they're going to have you go through, and there's a bunch of additional security you can turn on with Gemini. If you go and enable all the security mechanisms that they have, namely the most important is two-factor authentication and whitelisting. But whitelisting alone will help because you can't transfer funds out of Gemini unless the wallet address that you're trying to send it to is on a whitelist, and it's a 7-day wait period. So if your Gemini account were to get compromised and you had whitelisting enabled, an attacker couldn't transfer your funds to their own wallet address or something that they control for 7 days, and you're going to get an alert from Gemini saying, hey, we've added this new wallet address, and they'll give you 7 days to deal with whatever's going on there. So but two-factor authentication will likely prevent your account from being compromised to begin with, and then the additional whitelist will help prevent the transfer out of funds if it were to get compromised. So Gemini, again, is my favorite. Onramp, but they're also an exchange, so you can exchange several cryptocurrencies. Now they don't support a lot of the ones I talk about, so like Monero or Cardano are not supported on here. The other thing that's very easy to do is you can log into Gemini, you can buy your Bitcoin and Ethereum on Gemini, and then you can either transfer those or transfer other types of coins called stable coins over to Binance. So if you set up an account on Binance, it's very easy to go, so from Gemini you're going to click that you want to send money, right? And it'll be fairly obvious. And on Binance, you'll click that you want to receive money. So it's a withdrawal and receive. Okay, I just logged into my hot live Gemini account on my other screen here. And if I click on, once I log in, at the very top right, it says transfer, and there's deposit into Gemini and withdraw from Gemini. So on one exchange, you're going to select deposit. It's going to give you your wallet address to transfer to, and then on the other one you're going to click withdraw, and you're going to transfer from one wallet to the other. Maybe I'll do a separate video to talk more about how to do that, the mechanisms of that, but it's fairly easy to figure out how to transfer between exchanges if you want to buy some more of the exotic coins. But if you're just getting started, I mean, just start a Gemini account, buy some Bitcoin, buy some Ethereum, and then learn from there. You'll be pretty well off there. Those are the safe ones to buy anyway. Some of the other exchanges, so Coinbase I talked about earlier, they have a Coinbase Pro product. So this originally was something called GDAX, which is what I used at the very beginning, years and years ago, and then Coinbase bought GDAX, which was the best exchange for a long time. It's fairly good. If you really like Coinbase, you can look at using Coinbase Pro. Another thing to look at is BlockFi. Now BlockFi, they'll pay you up to 8.9% annual percentage rate for depositing your cryptocurrencies with them. Now once again, if you deposit your cryptocurrencies with them, they hold the private and public keys, and they're actually lending out your Bitcoin to earn interest on it. But they're highly regulated as well. They actually use Gemini's cold storage, and they do pay for insurance for any funds that they have live in the system, and then they use Gemini cold storage, offline cold storage, for the majority of the currency. Alright, so in summary of this whole video, go to Gemini, sign up for an account, follow their instructions, do an ACH transfer to your account, and then you'll be able to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum pretty soon. The best opportunity to buy looks like it's going to be coming up this next week when our charts bottom out, but we'll see. But you've got time if you set your accounts up now. This video is going to be a little bit out of order because I meant to show you guys this earlier, but I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to show you. So this is blockchain.com. This is a blockchain explorer. I can see live transactions happening on the blockchain. So I wanted to make this point too. This is a public ledger. So everybody can see every transaction. That's a big part of this. I've been asked about Monero. Monero allows you to be far more private. It allows you to obfuscate your funds. They use ephemeral addresses, but Bitcoin is totally in the open. Everybody knows about every transaction that's ever gone on. It's a public ledger. So you can see these transactions coming in. These are the hash of the transaction values. If I click on one of these transactions, let's find a big one. Let's find 800, almost $1 million US equivalent. 51 Bitcoin was sent here. All right, so we see this transaction. Right here, here's the hash of the transaction itself. And what happened was this wallet address, man, I wish I owned that wallet, 51 Bitcoin, that'd be nice. This wallet address sent these wallets, so this is some kind of fee or some line. This isn't nothing. So this wallet basically sent this wallet 51 Bitcoin. That was a straight up transaction right there. Sometimes you get multiple wallets involved in some of these transactions. But you see here the outputs of this transaction. We were talking about that earlier. This is the unspent funds left over. Right? So now, since this wallet sent these two wallets an address, now they have, looks like new wallets, they have new unspent values in this transaction. So they now have additional spending power, those wallets do, than they did before. So at the end of the day, what you're buying, when you buy a Bitcoin, you're buying on the digital ledger an entry that your wallet address has this much unspent Bitcoin, and then you can turn around and spend that Bitcoin in that public ledger. All right, well, I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope everybody got some value out of this content, especially if you have friends and family bugging you about how they can get started. Maybe you can refer them this video instead of having to explain all this to them. Guys, please let me know in the comments as well if there's some area that I didn't do a good job explaining, or something else that you would like to see, something else you'd like to see explained in a little bit more detail, or if I left any missing or critical details out. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the content. If not, have a great day.